Hello YouTube and welcome back. I'm Nico and you're watching Dare to Game. Today we are taking a look at a different TV show for this episode of TV Tuesdays. Our topic today will be taking a look at all the worst characters in the Netflix series The Last Kingdom, based on Bernard Cornwell's series The Saxon Tales. This list is not to say that these characters are badly written or acted, just that I hate them, and I feel that most viewers would agree. This will not necessarily be in any particular order other than number 1. Keep in mind that this video will contain spoilers for the entire series, so watch with caution. And let's dive on in. So a great jumping off point for this list would be that of Ælfric, the main character Uhtred's uncle, who in Season 1 usurps Uhtred's throne after his brother's death at the hand of the Dane invaders. This guy flies under the radar for much of the show, only showing up to serve as the ultimate enemy for Uhtred, so we don't forget him, or what Uhtred wants to achieve. That being said, he is a usurper, and he has on more than one occasion tried to have Uhtred killed, so I'm not a big fan. Next up we have Æthelwold, the son of the former King of Wessex, Æthelred the Unready, and the nephew to the king for the bulk of the show, King Ælfric. While unlike many characters on this list, Æthelwold does have his moments where you kind of sorta like him. He is a backstabbing, underhanded, dishonest, immature, and often petulant character. In many ways, he is the Littlefinger of this show. He starts off by blowing his shot at his father's throne by drinking and whoring his way through his youth and young adulthood. And then, once he has lost the throne to his uncle, he constantly is trying to steal it back through one sorry attempt or another. For a while, he seems like he will get better until he starts whispering in ears and turning people against each other. Eventually, he ends up having an eye gouged out for his treason. But if you ask me, he should have been put to the sword for much of what he has done. Then there's Odda the Younger, the son of Odda the Older, wouldn't you know? Well, unlike his father, Odda the Younger doesn't have an honest or honorable bone in his body. He seems to have been used primarily as a foil against Uhtred while he was on the show. He instantly decides he is against Uhtred from the get-go. Many times in the show, Odda attempts to turn Ælfric or the other lords of Wessex against Uhtred, and on one occasion he even takes credit for Uhtred's victory against the Danes. He is slippery, dishonorable, and morally corrupt. He wants the quick and easy path to power and success. In the end, he is taken out of the picture by his own father for disloyalty, and that's all good and well, but I would have rather seen him at the end of Uhtred's sword. Next we have Guthred, the Dane who is chosen to be the Christian king of Cumberland and unite the tribes of Dane and Saxon. Now when this character was introduced, it seemed as though he was actually going to be a great character. He immediately showed appreciation for Uhtred's abilities and gratitude for his rescue. He seemed as though he was going to be the knot that tied together the Danes and the Saxons in the region and united his kingdom. Unfortunately, he ended up being weak-willed and easily manipulated by his bishop, who eventually had Uhtred sold into slavery in an attempt to curry favor with Uhtred's uncle, Ælfric. This character had a lot of promise, but unfortunately the only good thing to come out of that storyline was his sister, who became Uhtred's third and favorite wife, Gisela. Then of course there is Sven, enemy of Uhtred and abuser of Thyra. Spoilt and arrogant, Sven the One-Eye lacks the cunning of his cruel father, Kjartan, and his malice should not be underestimated. An enemy of Uhtred since childhood. This character is one that dominated Uhtred's hatred for a good portion of the show. In fact, he was the staging character for Uhtred's initial ingratiation to Earl Ragnar and his transition from slave captive to adopted son. When Uhtred saves Thyra from Sven's attempted rape in Season 1, Earl Ragnar cut out one of Sven's eyes, and since then the cowardly Sven has been an enemy of Uhtred. Near the beginning of the show, Sven and his father trapped and murdered Uhtred's adopted family and kidnapped his sister Thyra, and held her captive in their dungeon for much of the show. He is later killed by Thyra's hounds as Uhtred and young Ragnar take his father's castle. A fitting end to a cowardly man. We of course also have Æthelred, the Lord of Mercia. This guy is a douchebag. He is basically the replacement character for Odda the Younger. He is power-hungry, stupid, and a coward. He abuses Æthelflaed and immediately goes against Uhtred, simply because he knows that Uhtred is Ælfred's greatest weapon. Unfortunately, this tactic constantly works in this show, much to the annoyance of viewers like me. He stupidly brings Æthelflaed with him to go and retake London, because he was afraid she would tell Ælfric of her mistreatment if left unattended. She is there captured, and this leads to a season-long captivity for her. After everyone starts to realize how weak he is, he tries to have her murdered, and when this fails, he spends a good amount of time boozing and abusing. This is another character that I would love to see die. Our runner-up for characters that I hate most in this show is Skade. I really hate this character with a burning passion. For one thing, she seems to jump from one guy to another in this show like nobody's business, and no one seems to have a problem with that. She is super manipulative and causes a great deal of death and destruction. The whole curse story arc with her and Uhtred is painful to watch. It was very gratifying to finally see Uhtred drown her ass so he could kill her without spilling any blood, thus breaking the curse. I have to be honest, while watching, I was getting a little worried that Uhtred was actually infatuated with her, and this was heading somewhere I didn't like. I am glad Uhtred did not forsake Gisela's memory in favor of this witch. Finally, our winner is Ælfred's wife, Ælswith. She is just the absolute worst, and in my opinion, most hated character for the entire series. She is a terrible, terrible person. For one thing, she is the best example of Bernard Cornwell's anti-Christian bias showing through. The author of the books that the show is based on is an outspoken anti-Christian, and much of his work reflects that, but none so much as Ælswith. She is constantly setting her husband and Uhtred against each other, no matter how much Uhtred does for them, and for Wessex. She is unable to see past the fact that he is a pagan, and is constantly fear-mongering. She sets Uhtred up, and unfortunately, his hot temper and inability to think things through often sees him walking straight into her traps. Seriously, if you have watched the show, try and think of one time where Uhtred and Ælfric were at odds, and she hadn't masterminded it. And, in the end, she literally nagged Ælfric to death. Way to go. Well, that completes the characters I hated in The Last Kingdom. While there are certainly more characters than this that I didn't like, most had enough redeeming qualities to save them, and many more just weren't on the show long enough for me to build up hatred for them. Do you agree with this video? Let me know in the comment section down below. But in any case, that's all for today. I'm out. Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If you did, I can assume you liked the content, and hopefully you'll subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you haven't already, check out these links I have on the screen to see me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you like my content and would like to support what I do here, there's a link to my Patreon account in the description, and a donation would be much appreciated. In any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day.